A riverside walking track to Pound Bend. Long-term Warrandyte resident and Warrandyte Repair Cafe's bookbinding specialist, John Anderson, provides his opinion on linking Taroona Reserve to Pound Bend with a walking track along Everard Drive. The existing river track at Warrandyte. The river forms the most enduring feature of Warrandyte. A walking track exists between the Taroona Avenue car park and the Stonehouse Cafe at the opposite end of the township. People love to wander along the gravel walking track beside the river, from the road bridge downstream for 1.5 kilometres to Anderson's Creek, near the junction of Everard Drive and Taroona Avenue. The existing foot track on either side of the bridge places a limit on any expedition without having to walk along a roadway or get in a car and drive to one of the other starting points for a more adventurous and more energetic walk. How popular is the walking track? In January 2025, I collected data on track usage between Warrandyte Bridge and Stigant Reserve. The data collected in my survey period estimated the track was used by about 180 people per hour during the weekday mornings, but declined during the afternoon. During the mornings of weekends and public holidays, the track is used by up to 350 people per hour and up to 650 people per hour on market days. I doubt that very few tracks in Victoria outside the city have this sort of patronage. Pound Bend Reserve is just a short distance downstream. Pound Bend Reserve is located about 2.2 kilometres downstream of the bridge. Here, the river makes a hairpin bend and flows in a large loop of approximately 4.2 kilometres, looping back on itself. The crest of the narrow neck that separates the upper and lower ends of the loop provides a great vantage point for viewing the river. It was punctured by a tunnel in 1870 to direct most of the water through the tunnel, facilitating the dredging of the riverbed for gold. The discharge of water at the lower end of the tunnel provides a dramatic reminder of Warrandyte's history. Most of the area within the loop lies within the Warrandyte State Park and features many tracks that appeal to walkers. A proposal for accessing Pound Bend from central Warrandyte on foot. Pound Bend is separated from the Warrandyte Riverside track by about 750 metres of roadway along Everard Drive, a narrow and dangerous stretch of road. But think of all the benefits that would follow if central Warrandyte was linked to Pound Bend with a walking track along the river. All of the tracks on the Pound Bend loop would become available to those who would like a more extended walk beginning in central Warrandyte. There would be other benefits. The people who visit Pound Bend from the city would be able to walk into central Warrandyte and the Goldfields shopping precinct, where they could savour the eateries and explore businesses of the town, while benefiting from the physical exertion without having to jostle for a car park. Moreover, the community market and the Warrandyte Festival could also be accessed from Pound Bend in this way. Does the proposal have community support? There is no point in pursuing the matter further if it lacks community support. It is therefore important to recognise the difficulties that would arise. Some of these are set out below, and any feedback would provide a good way to gauge the level of interest in pursuing the matter further. Problems in constructing a foot track to Pound Bend. Although it is only about 750 metres, the construction of a foot track beside the river from Taroona Avenue to the Pound Bend Neck is beset with difficulties. The main problem concerns the steep terrain along the riverbank and conserving the natural vegetation. Nobody wants a cut-and-fill construction with attendant spilling of fill into the river or the eyesore of heavy concrete retaining walls that decimate the vegetation. Another major problem would involve obtaining the agreement and cooperation of the various organisations involved in the jurisdiction of the riverbank and adjoining land. Linked to all of this would be the problem of financing the design and construction of the walkway. If there is support for the proposal, how can the problems be addressed? The missing link to Pound Bend requires an inspired visionary design. On this note, I approached Jock McNeish and he provided the accompanying sketch, which shows how the problem posed by the steep terrain could be addressed while conserving the vegetation. Any proposal would be very expensive, costing millions, but it would provide Warrandyte with a unique and valuable asset. Echuca has its historic riverside wharf, and much has been spent constructing lightly used cycling trails in remote parts of the state. Why can't Warrandyte have an elevated walkway that would form part of a great walk close to the city, along a river steeped in beauty and gold mining history that would attract great patronage? Imagine the sheer pleasure of walking on a pathway above the water, with its occasional rapids and majestic spread of manna gums and wattles, in any of the 4 seasons of the year. It is unlikely that any organisation would have the funds for such an ambitious project. However, we often read of various one-off federal and state grants being made available for popular schemes. State and federal politicians, as well as municipal councillors, pride themselves on their ability to secure funds of this kind, as evidenced by the recent announcement that funding had been secured for the 5 Ways intersection in South Warrandyte. What do you think? Is John's idea something we want for Warrandyte? Send your feedback, thoughts and ideas to editor@warrandytediary.com.au.